In the hushed corridors of Ikoyi Prison, Lagos, Nigeria, a young lady embarks on an undercover mission, phone discreetly recording, to uncover the pervasive corruption within Nigeria's criminal justice system. As she approaches the prison entrance to visit Oho Olajumoke, a chilling encounter unfolds. A male warder seated at the reception becomes the face of corruption, demanding a bribe for access. In a discreet office, negotiations happen. As the lady was asked to pay 1,000 naira, she skillfully bargains down to 500 naira.
This one is fine. I know Uber is.
In a shocking turn of events, recently released video footage unveils the audacious escape of Danielo Cavalcante from a suburban Philadelphia prison. Prison officials revealed on Wednesday that the 34-year-old convict managed to elude captivity by scaling a wall in the most unbelievable manner. The security video captures the heart-stopping moment as Cavalcante stands in a passageway, strategically placing his hands against one wall and his feet against another. With a remarkable display of agility, he ascends inch by inch out of the camera's view, leaving authorities and onlookers in disbelief at the brazen escape. The transaction unfolds, exposing the systemic bribery embedded within the corridors of justice, leaving viewers on edge, yearning for more revelations from this gripping expose.
Do I wait or do I go in?
In a Brazilian prison, tensions arose as security protocols held a small white cat on the basis of suspension. The intrigue deepens when the pet is apprehended, revealing an undercover operation. The video captures the tension of the moment, leaving viewers on the edge as authorities unravel the mysteries concealed beneath the fur of an unexpected courier. Taped to its body, the cat conceals contraband, cell phones, drills, and more. The unfolding drama underscores the ingenuity of smuggling attempts, where even seemingly innocent creatures become unsuspecting accomplices. Within the shadows of prison walls, a secretly recorded video captured on the phone unveils a grim reality. In this disturbing footage, inmates wield a phone, revealing scenes of drug-induced drama. The alarming incident shows a lack of supervision, pushing prisoners to hazardous extremes. A white prisoner's scary experience causes tension as something bad is about to happen to him. These haunting echoes of past trauma resonate as the terrified white man utters, "I felt that before."
Get it out with it, Rick. Get it out with it, Rick. Get it out with it, Rick. Get it out with it, Rick.
We gotta go down there somewhere, man.
The atmosphere intensifies, portraying the disturbing norm within Alabama's prison system. The disheartening truth unfolds, leaving us to start questioning the humanity within these walls, where violence simmers beneath the surface, a poignant indictment of a broken system. Based on the video evidence, it appears likely that the man endured a sexual assault or mistreatment, possibly at the hands of an inmate who was previously under the influence. He likely experienced trauma, yet upon reviewing the video, there's no apparent harm inflicted.
Hey! You crazy mother! Get me alone!
The video footage reveals a chaotic scene inside the Sandoval County Detention Center during a riot. Correction officers deploy flashbangs to disorient inmates and regain control. Inmates are seen scattering as officers equipped with shields, gas masks, and riot gear move in to quell the disturbance. The specialized tactical support unit is called in when standard measures fail to pacify 9 inmates. Despite inmates attempting to block entry with makeshift barriers, officers manage to breach the door after multiple attempts.
When the specialized team gets there, there's a battle at that small opening in the door.
The tense standoff finally ends with inmates subdued and led out, leaving behind a scene of destruction and discomfort with waterlogged floors and damaged property.
The air is hard to breathe. Inmates beg for fresh air. And jail guards cough because the air is saturated with pepper spray.
In a video from Wandsworth Prison, London, that surfaced on the internet in 2016, a drone becomes a courier for contraband. The footage reveals a black bag, suspended from a drone, floating into a cell window. Two makeshift hooks extend from the cell, deftly snatching the bag. This shocking incident was captured and surfaced on the internet in 2016. However, it highlights the inventive methods employed by imprisoned criminals for drug and mobile phone smuggling. The BBC carried out an investigation and exposed that over 2,000 banned items, including drugs and phones, were smuggled into UK prisons in 2015. The prevalence of such tactics has more than doubled since 2013, posing a severe challenge to prison security. The footage, captured on a mobile phone, shows prisoners in a Brazilian jail celebrating their escape via a tunnel they dug from inside their cell. CCTV footage outside the prison captures some of the men fleeing across the yard. A total of 13 inmates successfully evaded capture. The convicts recorded their escape and shared it online, revealing the cramped conditions within the tunnel. Reports indicate that the prison guard on duty had not inspected the cell for nearly 60 days prior to the escape, leading to their suspension. Despite the daring getaway, police have apprehended 2 of the escaped convicts, highlighting the authorities' efforts to recapture the fugitives.
We now know that there had not been an inspection of the cell for almost 60 days.
60 dias.
They dug a tunnel and it was easy to escape.
Ficou fácil, né,
In a surprising turn of events captured on camera, a routine medical checkup turns into a daring escape at a Bagalkot police station in India. The footage unfolds in the station as 2 suspects, initially held in custody, await their checkup. Seizing an opportune moment when officers turn their backs, the 2 suspects make a swift break for freedom. Their escape unfolds with an unexpected twist, leaving us intrigued and anticipating the next moves by the police officers in this funny incident in Bagalkot, Karnataka. In the middle of a tough situation, the Wanaheda holding cells reveal some pretty rough scenes of neglect and despair.
That I should go to isolation, and this is...
Check out this raw footage, where a gutsy inmate spills the beans on the messed up conditions they endure while waiting for trial. The cell rooms are like a spooky snapshot of how messed up things are, painting a sad picture of neglect.
This was the alternative place that I was told I can come and sleep.
Watch as the inmates grapple with basic tools to deal with a janky toilet system, giving us a glimpse into the harsh reality of their daily grind. Wanaheda paints a pretty bleak picture, forcing viewers to face the harsh truth of lives lived in the shadows of an uncaring system.
This is the stick. Flash.
In the video, an audacious escape happened in the temporary detention center in the Republic of Taiva. 2 previously convicted locals, aged 30 and 32, face charges of assaulting an on-duty officer. Funny enough, interestingly, that wasn't the only action these convicts had in mind. They are on the verge of committing another unlawful act. On April 14, 2019, within the facility, the 32-year-old convict feigned a request to enter a storage room, where he, along with his accomplice, choked the on-duty officer into unconsciousness. Meanwhile, the other assailant used a knife to inflict injuries. Exploiting the keys obtained, they opened cells, allowing 7 more detainees to flee. The reckless escapees now confront separate charges, all stemming from their audacious breakout, revealing a shocking lapse in security. In the heart of a Venezuelan prison, it's a whole different world. Barryness prison, packed, and kind of a free-for-all, is all about the inmates running the show. Can you believe they've got their little government going on? Meet Wilmer Lopez, a guy in for murder, but he's not just any criminal. He calls himself a positive leader. Sure, there's violence in charge, but Lopez turns it around for the better. Suddenly, the prison's got upgrades, more places to live, a cockfighting ring, and even a DIY gym. Inmates try to recreate the outside world with religious spots and a bit of normalcy. But deep down, one truth remains. They're all still chasing that freedom, and life inside is just a distant echo of what's beyond those prison walls. In a jaw-dropping turn of events, police officers wearing gloves unveiled tin cans as if they were revealing the latest tech gadgets. It was revealed that they had just apprehended an individual for possessing contraband. It's disheartening that the culprit was identified as a rogue member within the law enforcement ranks. And specifically, a prison warder who was secretly bringing in a lot of illegal drugs into Zonderwater prison in Cullinan, South Africa. The footage doesn't spare details, showing the officers unboxing cans containing illicit substances. The shocking discovery led to a search at the warder's home on prison grounds, revealing more contraband, including cell phones, SIM cards, dagga, and illegal tablets. She was arrested on December 27, 2021, and spent Christmas behind bars facing charges of drug possession. The clip begins by showing us CCTV footage of prisoners being asked to clean the prison hallway while the guards watch them. At first, everything seems to be normal, except when the atmosphere suddenly changes as something extremely horrifying happens. Prison escapes occur sporadically, with estimates ranging from a few dozen to 100 or more attempts worldwide each year, capturing attention due to their dramatic nature. The prisoners can be seen holding the terrified guards hostage, threatening knives into their sides, making sure the guards are left immobile. Every day, prison guards are on a constant lookout for prisoners plotting their escape, which endangers their lives and others in the process. The clip ends abruptly, and it's unknown whether or not the attempt was successful. In the shadowy aftermath captured on CCTV, a hooded figure dressed in black orchestrates an escape from the Isik-Ata District Police Station. At 7:09 p.m. on October 10th, the investigative detainee, 27-year-old Akhmatov Tilek, slips through the back door, navigating the metal barricade with swift, clandestine precision. We suspect his actions may stem from a rationalization within his conscience, possibly indicating involvement in something profoundly unlawful and reckless. Although he was earlier suspected of theft, his sudden disappearance immediately triggers the siren protocol. Clad in a white sweatshirt, black jacket and dark jeans, he leaves behind a puzzle for authorities, shrouded in the enigma of his unanticipated flight from the Isik-Ata pretrial detention center. The silent drama unfolds, leaving us to piece together the intrigue of this unexpected escape. In a covert video exposing prison contraband, a man skillfully reveals the technique of smuggling phones. The video reveals an innocent Coca-Cola bottle, but things get interesting when someone pops the top off. Ingeniously concealed within the bottle's interior are smartphones. This covert method, depicted in meticulous detail, showcases the unique and intricate process of infiltrating phones into prison facilities. Later on, we discover the bottle was skillfully sliced in half, with the top one still holding a drink, and the bottom one painted black, secured with layers of tape. This revelation adds an exciting twist to the cat-and-mouse game played between police officers and contraband. Following a bunch of chaos in Ecuador, President Daniel Noboa went all out, declaring war on 22 gangs, labeled as terrorists after a series of mutinies and hostage situations. He declared a state of emergency and imposed a curfew, making it clear he wouldn't negotiate with terrorists until the situation calmed down.
We will not negotiate with terrorists, nor will we rest until we return peace to all Ecuadorians.
With a whopping 22,000 soldiers deployed, they've been highly active, locking up over 1,300 troublemakers and apprehending 8 terrorists. Oh, and they've snagged 27 runaway prisoners too. Stuff got real when the big narco gangs tangled with the government, sparking riots in prisons and street brawls that left 19 folks dead. But the Ecuadorian security squad showed them who's boss, reclaiming control in several prisons and freeing more than 200 hostages, including some big shots held captive by the gangs.
For the tenacious and patriotic work, which today has allowed all the hostages, 61 in total, to be released from the Turi prison in Cuenca in optimal conditions.
In South Carolina's correctional facilities, a relentless battle unfolds against contraband. A recent operation at Kershaw Correctional Facility uncovered a myriad of illegal items during a routine search.
Officers make the first discovery of the day, but it wasn't found by the team. Instead, an inmate gave it up.
So this is a homemade weapon that the inmate...
Homemade weapons, tobacco, and a cache of concealed cell phones were exposed within prison cells, posing grave safety risks. Director Brian Sterling underscores the perils, citing past incidents where contraband fueled violence. You'd be amazed at how many phones were buzzing that day during the search.
Inmates use those phones to commit more crimes behind bars.
You name it, from continuing to deal drugs, sexual predator, they can continue that, they can scam the military as we've seen.
Despite challenges, correctional officers stand vigilant, employing high-tech scanners and thorough searches to curb the inflow. Beyond prison walls, efforts extend to thwart items thrown over fences. The fight against contraband remains arduous, demanding an unwavering commitment from prison staff, as South Carolina's correctional facilities prioritize the ongoing battle against illicit items.
Anything from drugs, illegal drugs, prescription pain medication, property we look at, stuff they shouldn't have.
What was supposed to be a normal day in prison suddenly becomes dangerously exciting after prison guards stumble upon something unexpected.
Pimentel, de 25 anos, preso há 2 semanas por furto, tentou escapar por espaço que permite a ventilação nas celas e ficou preso. Ele ficou...
Being stuck in a tight space for a prolonged period can lead to physical discomfort, restricted circulation, muscle cramps, and potentially serious medical complications. The prisoner, stuck in the tight gap he is in, attempts to reason with the officers after getting caught red-handed, trying to escape. Prison escapes can be dangerous due to the potential for violence or harm to law enforcement officers, inmates, and the public during pursuit or apprehension. After realizing that he no longer has any other choice, he finally decides to give up and surrender to the officer below, doing this.
Situação aí por uns 10 minutos até que conseguiu se soltar e pulou de uma altura de cerca de 3 metros. Aí ele, ferido, foi levado para o hospital, mas já voltou para o...
Fortunately, law enforcement catches the escape attempt in time, stopping it immediately. A bold getaway went down in taco sale when a suspect skillfully dodged the investigative committee by making a quick exit through a window. And that brings us to the question, how did he manage to slip away under such heavy security in the building? This resident accused of theft seized his own case files during questioning at the Russian Investigative Committee in July 2018. The 32-year-old man swiftly snatches the folder and leaps out the window, materials in tow. The audacious act occurs when the investigator briefly steps out, leaving the suspect alone with his lawyer. The video captures the suspenseful chase, with the law enforcement officer pursuing the suspect attempting to scale a fence. As realization dawns that apprehension is unlikely, the officer retreats, presumably to call for reinforcements. Here's another heartbreaking incident from inside a jail. In a prison riot captured in Brazil, chaos erupts as cartel members among the inmates ignite a violent upheaval. The video reveals the prison in Taubaté, Sao Paulo, engulfed in flames after doors are shattered and objects set ablaze. The police, grappling to regain control, face a harrowing situation. The searing visuals encapsulate the perilous atmosphere within the facility, leaving viewers on edge as the riot's full extent remains shrouded in the unfolding turmoil. Amid the chaos, prisoners seize hostages, including volunteer visitors and 2 guards. The intensity unfolds as the inmates' volatile actions expose the vulnerability of the prison's security. Within South African prisons, a covert world plays out as inmates ingeniously conceal cell phones, defying strict regulations. The video demonstrates the intricate process. An innocent-looking lotion bottle becomes a covert communication device. Inmates navigate security, extracting the concealed phone with a seemingly innocent gesture, illustrating their resourcefulness.
Right, start dismantling. You can see there's a cell phone coming out.
In this footage, the cunning technique involves crafting a deceptive Nivea body lotion bottle, ingeniously intertwined with another, housing a hidden smartphone. This snippet reveals the ongoing challenge faced by prison authorities, highlighting the persistent struggle to curb illicit activities.
Close as it was. There's a trick from the offenders hiding cell phones.
Efforts to thwart cell phone smuggling demand multifaceted strategies, urging enhanced security, stricter regulations, and initiatives to disrupt contraband networks. The inmates' craftiness poses formidable obstacles, emphasizing the need for continual innovation in prison security. In the grim aftermath of the Al-Kakuz prison massacre, chaos erupted as inmates sought refuge on the roof, struggling to evade bullets. Gunshots pierced the air, echoing the ongoing crisis within Brazil's prison system. The video captures the harrowing scenes of prisoners crawling to safety, desperate to escape the turmoil. This disturbing incident exposes the deep-rooted issues of overcrowding and gang violence plaguing Brazilian prisons. It became clear when reports mentioned rubber bullets that the police were trying to control a riot among inmates. Authorities faced a daunting task as they confronted the consequences of a weekend massacre, revealing the urgent need for systemic reforms to address the nation's prison crisis. In the gritty underbelly of Recife, Brazil, an audacious jailbreak unfolds before our eyes. An ominous calm blankets the prison yard as inmates, shadows cloaked in secrecy, plot their grand escape. Watch closely as chaos ensues, a calculated dance between freedom and captivity. Suddenly, an explosive eruption shatters the tranquility, setting the stage for a meticulously choreographed evasion. The prisoners, like chess pieces in a high-stakes game, exploit the confusion. Police, faces etched with bewilderment, grapple with regaining control, but the cunning escapees slip through their fingers. The aftermath remains an enigma. Did the authorities manage to apprehend any fugitives, or did the shadows swallow them whole? As the dust settles, the only certainty is the lingering suspense, each frame a compelling piece of a puzzle, leaving us hanging on the precipice of revelation. Amid the snowy weather, a drone captures prisoners atop an Australian prison. The chilling scene unfolds on July 12th, revealing a raging fire within the Parkley Correctional Centre. But we were left concerned about what actually transpired and led to the fire outbreak. Over a dozen inmates defy confinement, ascending to the roof. Aerial footage exposes their daring escape, utilizing ropes to navigate barbed wires. As cops step in, things get tense. The rebellious prisoners are ushered away, creating a silent spectacle that keeps viewers on the edge. It unfolds a gripping tale of defiance and desperation amid the prison chaos, with around 14 inmates. In this video, authorities are seen executing a targeted safety operation during the festive season. The mission combines community monitoring and prison searches, focusing on parole compliance and eliminating contraband. At Polesmoor Prison in Cape Town, tactical teams conduct early morning raids on inmates' cells. The goal is to root out prohibited items like cell phones, sharp objects, and drugs. The footage showcases the proactive commitment of correctional services to uphold safety and security standards.
So last night we did two operations. The first operation was to go into the communities for a community corrections monitoring.
With the festive season approaching, law enforcement remains vigilant, anticipating potential criminal activity. This operation demonstrates their readiness to respond swiftly, ensuring public safety and maintaining order within correctional facilities.
Festive season is time for families to enjoy themselves, but it's a dangerous time because during that time, some members of the communities do commit crime. We are always ready.
In a daring escape, prisoners at a Sao Paulo youth detention facility orchestrated a breakout following a riot. The video captures the tense moments as 54 inmates flee, navigating a climb and leaping to freedom. So how did they plan and execute this escape, and what was their strategy for making it happen? The chaos unfolded when underage offenders set mattresses ablaze, engulfing the prison yard in flames. During the riot, nearly 30 staff members were held hostage, with the director sustaining injuries. The footage provides a gripping glimpse into the inmates' escape, leaving authorities in pursuit as the search for the escapees continues. Fortaleza, Brazil's streets are like a real-life showdown between crime gangs and the authorities. These tough crews, holed up in the favelas, are calling the shots, pulling off attacks on everything from buildings to government stuff. And guess what? The crackdown on prison life by Brazilian bigwigs just cranked up the chaos, unleashing a wave of violence all over the city.
In Brazil, the crime gangs are heavily armed and they are prepared to defend themselves. It's an urban conflict, as dangerous as any war.
In the tough fight against gang violence, military police are on constant patrol in Fortaleza's gang-held territories. Stop-and-search operations are the usual drill, as officers work to uncover suspects and shady dealings. But weaving through the maze-like favela streets is no walk in the park, with danger always just around the corner.
Basically, what you're saying is it is terrorism, but because of the law, it isn't prosecuted as such.
The Brazilian government is really stepping up against gang violence. You can feel it. Cops are everywhere, and they're cracking down on gangs. But let's be real, the level of violence is no joke. It's a tough test for law enforcement, pushing them to their limits. As the fight for control goes on, there's a pressing call for quick action, and some serious changes in the laws to treat gang violence like terrorism. Only time will tell if Brazil will be able to take back its streets and bring peace to this non-stop urban battle.
Crashing into areas as quickly as possible, areas they know are dangerous, and areas where they know there's gang activity. In fact, the whole area is gang controlled.
In a dramatic prison escape, 1,300 Brazilian inmates fled confinement, holding guards hostage. What went down and how it all unfolded is still a bit of a puzzle. The centers of penitentiary progression in Mongaguá, Tremembe and Porto Feliz got into hot water with the government due to some rebellion and questioning around the temporary suspension of departures. It makes you wonder if it was all part of a master plan. The video shows total chaos as prisoners make a run for it. It turns out it kicked off because of some COVID-19 restrictions. Officials are talking about health risks in the semi-open setup. Now, we're left wondering how many escaped, and the whole prison revolt is keeping us hooked.
Votar segunda-feira, hein? Segunda-feira votar, hein?
In San Ramon de Samegua Penitentiary, a meticulously orchestrated plan unfolds. The notorious professor, aka Weimar Coahuila, masterminds a prison escape. With stealthy precision, the prisoners craft an escape bridge, bypassing security cameras and exploiting vulnerabilities. The escape involves calculated moves, from iron supports to ropes meticulously tied to boards. You would be surprised to see how the plan was carried out. As the escape progresses, the notorious figures make their descent, each facing varying fates. Amid the chaos, the professor, former sub-officer Ender Casares Herrera, emerges as a central figure. His criminal legacy intertwines with the elaborate plan, turning a potential flight into collaboration with his fellow escapees. The shocking video captures the inmates' calculated escape, revealing flaws in prison security. Even the son of a prison guard unwittingly aids the criminals, underlining the deep-rooted issues within the system. The aftermath sees fractured bones, recaptured fugitives, and unanswered questions, casting a spotlight on the institutional lapses that facilitated this audacious break from justice. Under the cloak of darkness, chaos unfolded at Monte Cristo jail in Boa Vista. In a daring mass escape captured by CCTV, prisoners orchestrated their flight, wielding makeshift ladders to scale the prison walls. How could this have happened? On the night of June 7, 2016, at precisely 8:37 p.m., a daring act of rebellion unfolded. Tens of inmates embarked on a desperate bid for freedom. after pulling off a clever escape that left the place a bit chaotic. The video captures how these inmates showed some serious resourcefulness and quick thinking. It gives you a peek into a wild night of jailbreak and chase. Being escorted on the way to prison, a man is left with no choice but to comply with the cop escorting him to avoid getting into more trouble. The cop then puts handcuffs on the detainee while escorting him outside. Little does he know this detainee has other plans in mind. The man proceeds to slip his hands out of the cuffs, hiding this from his police escort, looking for the right time to start his escape. Still oblivious to the fact that his detainee is free of his cuffs, the police officer leads the man outside for transportation, only for this to happen. Like any profession, some individuals within law enforcement may be susceptible to deception, but it varies greatly among officers and is not inherent to the profession. Sneaking contraband into prison is difficult due to security protocols, but it still happens through creative methods like smuggling or corrupt staff involvement.
Surpresa, fundo falso. E nesse fundo falso, é uma embalagem normal de margarina, viu, gente? Eu vou te falar, o sujeito tem habilidade,
Smugglers can get highly creative, resorting to methods like concealing contraband in food and clothing, or even using drones for aerial drops. This clip shows that not all illegal contraband sneaks through using complicated methods. Sometimes it can come in simple, everyday items.
Cada coisa, não? É criatividade. Olha lá, achou. Olha a surpresinha. Como é que consegue fazer uma embalagem, rapaz? Olha lá, celular.
Videos like these really make us wonder how contraband gets into prison, despite the high security system they implement. This video only shows that prison systems should be more secure and that police officers should thoroughly check incoming items. In this clip, the contraband is eventually revealed to be hidden inside the food container. A group of prisoners can be seen hanging out in the yard while being guarded by a police officer on duty. At first, everything remains normal, but then the guard decides to leave the prisoners alone, leading some of them to do this.
Interior aí do Rio Grande do Sul. Eu digo alguns, mas me parece que conseguiu escapar. Veja aí, ó, imagens internas de presídio, olha os caras pulando ali.
Realizing that no one is watching them gives the inmates hope of escaping this prison and making it out earlier than they were sentenced to. They help each other climb the walls in order to escape, some failing to do so, but some refusing to give up their only chance of escape.
Uns caíram, viram? Alguns chegaram a colocar as mãos lá em cima da muralha, mas acabaram despencando. Agora, tchê, realmente
When prisoners are caught attempting to escape by climbing walls, they typically face disciplinary actions within the prison system and may also incur additional criminal charges.
Escalar e escapou mesmo desse presídio em qual local aí do Rio Grande do Sul, hein, tchê?
Em Sarandi, na região norte do estado.
One of the prisoners successfully manages to escape, embarrassing the security of this prison. This frightening escape attempt starts with a CCTV capturing a man walking towards a line of parked cars outside a prison. At first, it is unclear what the man's plan is, but moments later, the truth eventually comes out after he does something unexpected. Unfortunately, it is still unknown how this prisoner managed to break into this car with ease or how he got out in the first place. The escaped prisoner who tried to act calm gets busted stealing a car outside the prison, leading to this very intense scene. Jumping out of a moving car is incredibly risky, often leading to severe injuries or fatalities due to the high risk of impact and trauma. The escapee falls to the ground after jumping out of the car, ending his plans. CCTV footage shows a group of prisoners making their way to the prison yard, using a hole they discovered that was connected to their cells.
Ele vai bem no pé da laje aqui, o Ceará, bem no pezinho da laje, pode ver. Ele que é o líder. Aí ele sai arrastado aqui, ó. Aí ele vai lá na mão para pegar a porra.
Some prison systems are poorly designed, exhibiting issues like overcrowding, inadequate resources, insufficient rehabilitation programs, and ineffective management, leading to various problems and challenges. After getting access to the prison yard, the prisoners quickly devise a plan to escape the prison, eventually leading them to do this.
Esse camisa vermelha não consigo saber quem é ainda. O bacuzinho aqui que você dá um tiro no pescoço dele lá, no salto dele. Aquele camisa azul lá que tá com o cara que eu falei.
Hopeful after getting outside their cells successfully, they immediately scout around to try and find ways to escape the prison finally. Moments later, their situation quickly turns upside down after their plan is foiled, leading to this very terrifying and intense scene. The cops stop the escape attempt just in time, putting the prisoners back in their cells. Using the night as cover, 4 prisoners skip sleep in order to try their long-awaited risky escape attempt. Using a rope made out of clothes as a means of escape, the prisoners help each other to get themselves out of prison.
Uma resposta ainda da Secretaria de Administração Penitenciária. A única coisa que eles confirmaram é realmente esse déficit, né, de número de policiais.
Seeing prisoners easily do this can be really concerning, as we often trust the prison system to keep us safe from violent criminals. This risky and very dangerous escape could go wrong in so many ways that it only adds to the intensity of their situation.
O ideal seria 1 para cada 5 presos e aqui na Papuda tem 1 para cada 10 presos, ou seja, 50% a menos.
The use of makeshift ropes in prison escapes is not uncommon. However, it depends on factors such as the availability of materials and the security measures in place. Unfortunately, cops are too slow to stop them, and they escape successfully. Prisoners and police officers get into a very dangerous and violent war with one another, leading to this very intense and terrifying scene. It's hard for police officers to control all the inmates while being outnumbered, so they use the prison architecture to their advantage during fights like this. The video, being recorded by a police officer inside the prison, shows the terrifying reality of what goes on inside violent prisons.
Olha a situação, Brasil dentro do presídio.
Prison fights occur periodically, but are relatively common occurrences due to the tense and confined environment within correctional facilities. The officers can be seen shooting at the prisoners inside the yard, while the prisoners try their best to fight back using whatever they can.
Isso é bala de borracha que estão atirando para... Bala de borracha. Meu Deus do céu, que
Prison riots often start due to grievances over conditions, mistreatment, or disputes among inmates, escalating into violence or disturbances within the facility. The clip ends with the prisoners still trying to hide from the bullets. In this intense clip, a prisoner finds himself in literally deep trouble after he does something that he should have thought of twice.
Sai daí, rapaz! Sai daí! Se vira, se tu entrou, como é que não vai sair?
Escaping prison using a toilet is a popular trope in fiction, but is highly improbable in reality due to strict security measures and surveillance. Police officers and other inmates record and laugh at the prisoner trying to escape through a very dirty and small toilet. His Shawshank Redemption-style escape is quickly foiled after he realizes that there is no way he could fit through the hole.
Pera aí! Sai daí! Ei, pela puxa ele aqui. Puxa ele aí.
While it's a common trope in movies and TV shows, in reality, escaping through a toilet hole is highly unlikely due to its small size and structural limitations. 2 guys quickly catch him attempting to escape, and they decide to put a stop to his plan after everybody realizes that he is stuck. In the end, he finally gets pulled out of his predicament, completely covered in excrement. This intense chase begins with a man being recorded from a helicopter, trying to escape the cops chasing him close behind.
Acabaram de fugir do centro de detenção provisória do Belém. Um deles atravessou a pista expressa da avenida, chegou a invadir uma empresa na região. Balança!
Escaped prisoners are caught through extensive searches, tips from the public, surveillance footage, and coordination between law enforcement agencies, leading to their eventual apprehension. This prisoner is surprisingly calm during his escape, even though he knows that dozens of cops are trailing him closely. Under this calm demeanor, he hides his fear as he needs to remain calm and collected if he wants to escape this chase successfully.
Paulo,
Nesse momento, ele tenta despistar o helicóptero Águia da Polícia Militar. São momentos de tensão. O fugitivo coloca as mãos na cabeça e parece que vai se entregar.
Prisoners outrunning cops is rare due to law enforcement's training, resources, and coordination, but it can occur depending on various factors. Things are no different for this encounter as the chase is eventually stopped after this happens.
O local invade uma das empresas da região. Os vigilantes do lugar também auxiliam a polícia e tentam parar o homem, que pula um muro de arame farpado. Ele quase...
Fortunately, the prisoner successfully gets stopped, and he is put back in prison afterward. A prisoner can be seen recording the inside of his cell, already raising a huge red flag on the security of this prison. Cellular phones are not allowed in prison, and considering this inmate managed to sneak his phone inside, it already sets the bar low for the security. A few seconds later, a bunch of prisoners in the same cell crowd the iron bars as they attempt to do the unthinkable. Prison escapes occur in other countries, but vary in frequency depending on factors like security measures and societal conditions. The video continues to capture the prisoners rushing to escape their cells, doing so as fast as possible to avoid getting caught. Many prisoners appear out of nowhere to take advantage of the chaos, escaping as well. A policewoman can be seen walking around cell to cell, delivering food for the prisoners through a small food slot in the door.
I had started over in our D pod and I was working my way around, so I was the only one in the pod when I got to A.
Going through this daily routine, the police officer isn't really that concerned about this routine feeding, as the doors are slammed shut. What was supposed to be a routine feeding of the prisoners quickly turned disastrous, with surveillance footage capturing this.
His tray slot popped open, and within about 4 seconds, he was out and on his feet. I took off, running to the main.
In some cases, prisoners have attempted to escape through food slots, but it's rare and challenging due to the small size and security measures typically in place. The female officer immediately bolts off running in order to avoid getting harmed by the very aggressive prisoner. The clip ends with the prisoner chasing the officer, leaving us to guess what happens next. A makeshift rope made out of clothes becomes the key to freedom by a group of prisoners in this very intense video. Prisoners are observed methodically alternating, descending the rope in an unexpectedly coordinated manner, displaying a level of organization that is rather surprising. Everybody involved in this situation knows that they must work together if they want this very dangerous plan to work. Civilians may be inclined to report sightings or suspicious behavior related to escaped prisoners, but confrontation or apprehension is typically left to law enforcement. The people watching this very intense and dangerous breakout can't do anything but just watch and not interfere. Avoiding unnecessary interaction with prisoners reduces risks of manipulation, violence, and breaches of security protocols within correctional facilities. The cops eventually find out about the ongoing escape, but it's already too late. While watching this video, I want you to look at this prison cell and the door securing it and tell me how you can escape from this cell. If you think there is no way to escape this cell without breaking anything, continue watching and see how easy it really is.
A porta aberta lá. Tá aberta, você não quer fugir? Então vai lá, volta de novo. Não, volta de novo. O bicho tá de sacanagem.
Prison cells should be secure to prevent escapes, protect inmates from harm, and maintain order within the correctional facility. Unfortunately, this prison didn't take into account people fitting through the gap in the prison door bars, as shown in this demonstration. It just goes to show the need for prison systems to always test their security measures to ensure that no prisoners are able to escape. Hopefully, no prisoners will see this and decide to try this trick for themselves. This next clip shows a group of police officers and cameras crowding a woman when, all of a sudden, a shocking truth is revealed.
O
Os cabelos compridos, na verdade, são peruca, vestido longo, sapatos femininos e até maquiagem. Vestir-se de mulher foi a estratégia.
Trying his luck, this prisoner decides to dress up as a woman to try and escape prison, resembling a skit from a comedy show. What he thought was going to be a quick and foolproof escape plan quickly turns to shambles after police officers immediately smell something fishy.
Odenir Guimarães, em Aparecida de Goiânia.
Isso aí acontece, é no muro, é vestido de mulher, a alegria do preso é a liberdade, como eu falei.
Para sair da penitenciária.
The man is left with no choice but to surrender to the officers to avoid getting into more trouble than he is already in. Escaping from prison using a disguise is extremely difficult due to strict security protocols and frequent inmate checks.
Os penitenciários, a roupa muito colorida e o jeito de andar despertaram a atenção. Marcos foi condenado a quase 8 anos de prisão por crimes como homicídio.
Thankfully, he was caught in time. This criminal off the streets once more. Taking his steps slowly and as quietly as possible, this prisoner avoids getting detected as he continues to make his way to the exit. He even avoids detection by the police officers next door just by crawling on all fours, resembling a level in a video game. A few moments later, after a slow but sure pace toward the prison exit, he finally achieves something no prisoner could ever dream of. Seeing this, it's really concerning how there are no further security measures to ensure that prisoners aren't able to sneak their way out of prison. The speed of tracking down escaped prisoners depends on various factors such as available resources, cooperation from the public, and the nature of the escape. CCTV footage captures the man successfully escaping and running away. A CCTV camera captures something disastrous happening outside a high-security prison containing dangerous criminals. This daring escape shows the men trying to climb down the walls of the prison without alerting the guards inside.
As polícias civil e militar de Nova Esperança e de municípios da região estão à procura de 11 detentos que durante...
Despite the lingering fear of being caught in the middle of their escape, the inmates push through their anxiety as the outside world waits. After the intense climb, the prisoners finally reach the other side of the wall, running away as fast as they can after landing.
Do mini presídio. As câmeras de segurança instaladas no prédio da delegacia e residências vizinhas filmaram.
Prison breakouts occur infrequently due to stringent security measures, but they do happen occasionally, often making headlines due to their rarity.
Presos pulando o muro do presídio. Na sequência, todos saem correndo e desaparecem. Os foragidos são...
The men who escaped in the video were later identified and caught within days. Prisoners inside their cells, resting as rain pours down on the yard when, all of a sudden, the peace is broken. One prisoner tries his luck by climbing one of the pillars in an attempt to escape while no cops are looking.
Câmeras de segurança. Chovia no momento em que os presos saíram da cela. A imagem mostra um deles tentando escalar uma coluna. Na sequência...
He fails to do this, but still decides to continue his escape by rallying more prisoners to help in his escape.
Mas a fuga foi abortada pelos agentes e policiais de plantão. A Secretaria de Justiça do Estado informou por meio de nota que reconhece que...
The news report continues to show other prisoners deciding to help and escape from their cells after seeing the first prisoner. If caught trying to escape prison, consequences typically include additional criminal charges, extended sentences, and placement in higher security facilities. Unfortunately, this doesn't stop other prisoners from trying to escape. A camera footage showing the outside of a prison captures something that you would only expect to see in a movie.
Nesta sexta-feira, houve a primeira tentativa de fuga após a instalação de 9 câmeras de vídeo monitoramento no entorno do Instituto Penal de Novo Hamburgo. Um detento pulou o muro, mas foi capturado.
Successfully climbing the prison walls is one thing. Avoiding the barbed wires and sharp broken glass lined throughout the walls is another. One scratch from the sharp wires or broken glass can easily lead this prisoner to panic from the pain, or even worse, fall from the wall. This doesn't discourage this prisoner though, as he sees his freedom right in front of him, calling for him to do this.
Pulou o muro, mas foi capturado a 2 quadras do local, pois sua ação foi vigiada pelas câmeras. A Superintendência dos Serviços Penitenciários, SUSEP, acionou imediatamente a brigada.
In general, prison walls can range from 10 to 30 feet in height, depending on the facility's security level and location. After this incident, they should really consider increasing the height of the prison's walls. Prisoners can be seen roaming the prison courtyard with only a tall wall separating them from the outside world. Low-security prisons can be dangerous due to the potential for inmate violence, contraband circulation, and escapes facilitated by less stringent security measures. Going back to this intense video, the prison yard eventually clears, and one prisoner decides to take his chance doing this. In a twist of events, the white car suspiciously parked outside the walls turns out to be this escapee's ride to freedom. After getting inside the car, the driver immediately steps on the gas and gets a head start on the cops, making it harder to track this prisoner. It is unknown whether this escaped prisoner gets caught after his escape. A prisoner having a phone to record this video already raises a red flag to the security of this prison. It's no secret that cell phones are not allowed to be in the hands of inmates while they're in prison, making this situation really concerning. What's more alarming is that no cop is present to guard the walls of this prison, allowing one prisoner to do this. Prisoners watching the encounter cheer him on as he tries his best to climb the wall separating him from freedom. Prisoners climbing walls to escape is relatively rare, as modern security measures and surveillance technology make it difficult to evade detection. The escape ends with the prisoner successfully climbing the wall and escaping to the other side. After smuggling a phone inside his cell, one prisoner decides to record his cellmate doing something extremely dangerous.
Vídeo que circula nas redes sociais mostra dos apenados cavando o túnel pelo qual eles teriam fugido.
Daqui a pouco é nós aí no mundo.
This video certainly puts concern over our minds, as we are forced to wonder how prisoners can just dig their way out of their cells. Despite their current circumstance, the prisoners in the video can be heard laughing and can be seen smiling at the camera, disregarding the danger and the risks involved in what they're doing. He continues to record his friend until, eventually, this happens.
Pode crer.
Nesse outro vídeo, a gravação parece ter sido feita de dentro de uma cela da casa prisional e é possível ver algum.
Escaped prisoners are often captured within days of their escape, but the time frame can vary widely, depending on factors like their location, resources, and law enforcement efforts. Sadly, the clip ends there, and what happens next remains to be unknown. Again, you'd think that a prison holding dangerous prisoners would have better security than just a steel wire. We expect prisons to keep us safe from violent and dangerous criminals by using top-of-the-line security measures, and not just this. Recording his fellow prisoners, he records a dangerous escape attempt, which is something that you should just watch for yourself. Steel wires can be climbed, but it's challenging due to their smooth and often high structure, especially when installed as part of a security barrier. This doesn't stop them though, as the pain of the razor-sharp steel wires does not even bother them with freedom on their minds. The prisoners successfully escape in less than a minute, showing this prison's biggest flaw. A police officer is shocked and becomes speechless after he discovers something very alarming while reviewing the security camera footage. When police officers discover a prison escapee, they initiate a pursuit, apprehend the individual, and return them to custody, often with additional charges. Unable to do anything about the current situation, he continues to watch the footage, only to discover another headache seconds later. Police catch escaped prisoners through extensive search efforts, including patrols, surveillance, tips from the public, and coordination with other law enforcement agencies. CCTV footage can provide valuable information on the direction of escape, appearance changes, and possible accomplices, aiding in identification and apprehension efforts by law enforcement. It is still unknown whether or not the suspects in the video have been caught.
Tangerang, Banten. Chai Changpan berhasil keluar dari lubang saluran air setelah menggali lubang dari dalam sel yang...
In the crucible of desperation, innovation blooms as a prisoner, driven by an unyielding resolve, devises an unconventional escape plan, ingeniously tunneling through a drain hole to seize his coveted freedom. With every ounce of determination etched upon his countenance, he emerges from the depths of confinement, his heart set ablaze with the singular purpose of securing his long-awaited liberty, propelling himself forward with unwavering conviction in pursuit of his newfound destiny beyond the prison walls.
Van divonis mati pada tahun 2016 lalu karena menyeludupkan 110 kg sabu. Petugas lapas kelas 1 Tangerang
As authorities swiftly mobilize their resources, the profile of the escaped prisoner flashes across various media platforms, imploring citizens to join the concerted effort in aiding his swift recapture. Surveillance footage capturing the audacious feat circulates widely, igniting a citywide manhunt characterized by heightened vigilance and fervent determination to bring the elusive fugitive to justice, thus ensuring the safety and security of the community at large. Sneaking phones in prison can be challenging due to security measures like metal detectors and searches, but it still occurs through various methods. This video proves that no matter how impossible it may seem, criminals will always find a way to smuggle their phones into prison. The prisoners in the video can be seen hanging out with each other while displaying and showcasing different kinds of contraband to the camera.
Fugiram pelo menos 4 detentos. Foi cavado durante vários dias, mas nenhum agente e nem a direção do local perceberam o buraco.
The general punishment for prisoners sneaking in phones varies, but typically includes disciplinary measures like loss of privileges or solitary confinement. As if sneaking in a phone isn't bad enough, the recording then proceeds to show them flexing a tunnel they dug as a means of escape.
Tranquilamente, parece fumar cigarro de maconha. De fato, os problemas causados pela falta de estrutura física do prédio podem também...
Digging a tunnel in prison is extremely difficult due to the intensive security measures, constant monitoring, and reinforced infrastructure, making it highly unlikely to succeed. Unfortunately, in a daring daylight escape that defied the norms of security, prisoners made a bold bid for freedom from the confines of a public facility, their desperation serving as the driving force behind their audacious act. Despite the inherent risks and the difficult prospect of interacting with the outside world, they embarked on their journey, propelled by an earnest desire to break free from the shackles of confinement and reclaim their autonomy. Six fugitives found themselves navigating the intricate labyrinth of city streets, their senses heightened and nerves on edge as they deftly maneuvered to evade capture. With every step, they felt the weight of impending apprehension bearing down upon them, their hearts pounding in sync with the rhythm of their hurried footsteps. Constantly glancing over their shoulders, they harbored a palpable fear of being trapped by the long arm of the law, their every movement fraught with the uncertainty of pursuit.
53 tahanan lapas melarikan diri dari lapas.
Chaos erupts as 53 inmates break free from Sorong prison in West Papua Southwest, their desperate dash for freedom sending shockwaves reverberating through the streets like a thunderous roar. In their frantic haste to escape the clutches of confinement, some shed their sandals, casting aside the comfort of footwear in a desperate bid for speed as they tear through the winding alleyways and bustling thoroughfares. Their pounding foot. Prison riots can be extremely dangerous, posing risks of injury or death to inmates, staff, and even bystanders, and may lead to significant property damage. Additionally, prison riots can result in prison escapes by creating chaos and distracting staff, thereby allowing inmates the opportunity to breach security measures and flee. The reality of the situation is that when things eventually get out of control, like in this clip, a few cops will never be enough to stop the chaos. This clip shows this very exact scenario as prisoners use the chaos that's currently going on in order to do this. Various factors, including lapses in security, inmate desperation, inadequate supervision, or corruption within the prison system, can cause prison escapes. The cops eventually control the situation, but they are a little too late.
Você vai ver fuga de... Olha só, gente, essa imagem aí, é impressionante. Isso é tudo preso fugindo da cadeia. Isso aconteceu lá na cidade de Cristalina. 18 detentos escaparam da unidade prisional.
In a daring bid for freedom, the walls of the formidable Cristalina facility are besieged by a torrent of desperate souls. With adrenaline-fueled determination, inmates swarm like a tide, scaling fences and vaulting gates in a desperate bid for escape.
O penitenciário publicou os nomes e fotos dos detentos para que as pessoas possam colaborar no sentido de entregar essas pessoas e onde que elas estão, hein? Você pode denunciar.
As darkness descends, the authorities swiftly mobilize, reclaiming some escapees from the shadows. Yet amidst the chaos, the tale of the fleeing convicts unfolds. Each face illuminated by the harsh glow of a mugshot tells a story of desperation, longing, and the relentless pursuit of liberty against all odds. This dangerously frightening chase can easily lead to disaster, as one small mistake could lead to the prisoners falling and injuring themselves. Moments later, cops eventually catch up to the fleeing criminals, and what happens next is nothing short of terrifying.
Os policiais que estavam de plantão, que não tinham inclusive responsabilidade alguma de cuidar de preso, perceberam a ação e olha só, os policiais já saem atirando.
This intense situation endangers not only the lives of the criminals and the police officers, but also the civilians around the area. The cops immediately open fire at the dangerous criminals trying to escape, scaring them in the process and making them run faster.
Para tentar conter ali a fuga e evitar que os mais de 70 presos que estavam ali na mesma ala conseguissem ganhar a liberdade forçada.
Unfortunately, the clip ends there, and it is unknown if the criminals ever got caught.
Keempat napi tersebut Pancareno Rama Kencana, Adi Wardana, Mari Yuandi, kasus.
In Palangkaraya, amidst the unforgiving landscape of confinement, 4 prisoners courageously defy all odds, embarking on a perilous journey of escape by scaling daunting barbed wire fences in a daring bid for freedom. Undeterred by the looming threat of electrocution, they press onward with unwavering determination, each daring leap serving as a poignant testament to their desperate resolve to break free from the shackles of captivity.
Siono mengatakan, 4 napi kabur tersebut 2 orang terlibat kasus pembunuhan, 1 orang pencurian disertai pemerkosaan, dan 1 orang kasus pencurian.
As the intensity of the hunt escalates, the media amplifies their efforts by broadcasting the images of the fugitives far and wide, appealing to the public for assistance in the urgent race to capture and bring these escaped prisoners to justice. With each broadcast, the net of awareness widens, enlisting the collective vigilance of communities near and far in the determined pursuit of apprehending these elusive individuals and restoring order to the realm of law and order. Alright, these teens are getting a VIP tour of the high security wings, but trust me, this is no walk in the park. The message is clear, silence is golden in here.
Imagine them doing that all night long, all night. Come on around.
Now, witness this astonishing scene, a single cell, originally designed for 19 people, crammed with a staggering 86 detainees. There are no mattresses, no privacy, just buckets for toilets. It's a whole different world. We're hearing from former inmates who've been there and done that. Their stories hit hard, from sports stars to facing first-degree murder charges.
See how crowded it is? Imagine, just imagine. Are you getting it? There's no love here.
It smells bad and looks grim. This is where the consequences of the wrong decisions become painfully real. You're not invincible out there. It's not a game, it's real. Our teens are getting a stark lesson on the cold, hard truth about jail and its aftermath. A raw look at what could be waiting if you choose the wrong path.
Any questions? All right, let's go ahead and form it up. Print out. 4J. We got inmates. You don't need one.
Officers systematically exit a boardroom, their purpose clear: to execute a routine general search of the inmates' prison cells, scouring for any contraband or weapons that could potentially facilitate a jailbreak. This meticulous procedure serves as a crucial security measure implemented by the vigilant officers stationed at the facility, ensuring safety and order within the confines of the prison walls.
Well, I'm looking for contraband, but I found a shank.
Prior to the commencement of the search, the prisoners are instructed to orderly exit their cells, their hands restrained at the back of their heads as a precautionary measure. Meanwhile, the officers meticulously comb through each cell, meticulously inspecting for any illicit items or potential weapons that could be exploited for a jailbreak. Amidst the search, a female officer uncovers a shank concealed within the cell of one inmate, recognizing its potential as a dangerous weapon within the confines of the prison. Swiftly, she alerts her colleagues to the discovery, ensuring prompt attention to the contraband for immediate removal and further investigation.
You will be charged with it because it's found under your bunk. Introducing a dangerous weapon to the jail, man. Are you aware of it? But it's not you.
The inmate implicated in the discovery of the contraband is summoned for interrogation, his presence requested due to the concerning nature of the find. Notably, he carries a prior conviction for aggravated robbery, heightening suspicion surrounding his involvement. However, he vehemently denies any knowledge or ownership of the illicit item found concealed within his cell, adamantly refusing to accept responsibility for its presence. Despite his denial, the officers remain vigilant, recognizing the need for further scrutiny and investigation into the matter. In a daring escape reminiscent of a Hollywood thriller, 2 inmates from a Mumbai jail make a bold attempt to break free. The entire incident unfolds right under the nose of surveillance cameras. In this shocking footage, 2 inmates are seen working on an elaborate escape plan within the confines of their jail. Seemingly undeterred by the watchful eyes of security cameras, they meticulously prepare for what appears to be an impossible mission. With audacity on display, the inmates throw a makeshift rope outside the jail premises, signaling their intent to escape. The question on everyone's mind, what is happening in the control room? Despite the bold escape happening in broad daylight, there seems to be a lack of immediate response from the authorities. The inmates managed to execute their plan without raising any alarms. In a surprise raid at Leeuwkop prison in Johannesburg, the Department of Correctional Services uncovered a trove of illicit items, catching inmates off guard. Let's take a look at the shocking discoveries.
Would not have been brought to our attention, and it helped us have a good picture of what the state of affairs is.
The surprise raid at Leeuwkop prison exposed a range of contraband items, revealing a concerning state of affairs. As seen in the footage, the market for dagga is thriving within the prison walls. Additionally, the discovery of shanks, makeshift weapons crafted by inmates, poses a serious security concern.
Very strikingly here, the amount of dagga business here, the market is very, active. But not only that.
One of the most alarming findings was the prevalent smuggling of cell phones into the correctional center. The footage shows a significant number of confiscated mobile devices, emphasizing the challenges faced by authorities in controlling communication within the prison. This clip shows cop cars and helicopters scouting around the prison area in order to look for the prisoners who recently escaped. Unfortunately, it seems that they are already too late, as another video captured earlier shows the prisoners out and about on the streets. It is unknown how these prisoners managed to escape, but one thing's for sure, this situation could have been avoided with better security measures. Meeting a prison escapee can be dangerous due to the potential for the escapee to be desperate, unpredictable, and possibly armed. If encountering a prison escapee, prioritize your safety by avoiding confrontation, contacting law enforcement immediately, and providing any relevant information about the encounter. Hopefully, they were able to track down these dangerous criminals quickly. Four daring prisoners, fueled by an unwavering resolve, have embarked on a mission of unprecedented audacity, sparing no effort in their quest for freedom. Their unwavering determination knows no bounds as they meticulously devise an escape plan that defies conventional wisdom, leaving bystanders in utter disbelief. Such a feat could only be orchestrated by individuals willing to stake everything, embracing the inherent risks with unwavering courage. The 4 prisoners, exhibiting remarkable determination and resourcefulness, successfully navigate their way to the rooftop of a seemingly unassuming shed-like structure. Utilizing the assistance of a fellow inmate stationed below, they collaboratively devise an intricate and meticulously detailed plan for their imminent escape, leveraging their collective skills and ingenuity to craft what appears to be an impeccably orchestrated scheme for freedom. The individual on the ground tosses a long piece of cloth to those positioned on the roof, facilitating their escape attempt. They endeavor to climb into a net tunnel spanning from the roof to the opposite side of the fence. 3 successfully navigate through the net, while 1 unfortunately stumbles back and descends from the roof, drawing the attention of nearby inmates. The reason for this sudden action remains uncertain, but he appears visibly agitated as he paces alongside his cohorts. At the RO prison, determination knows no bounds as inmates defy the odds to break free from the suffocating grasp of captivity. With audacious resolve burning in their hearts like an unquenchable flame, 1 prisoner seizes the moment, a solitary figure against the backdrop of oppression, deftly navigating not 1, not 2, but 3 formidable fences, standing between them and the promise of liberty. His fearless act ignites a spark of rebellion among his fellow captives. Despite the perilous risk of electrocution, they press on, driven by a primal instinct for escape. Some succeed in evading the deadly wires, sprinting towards liberty while others meet a tragic fate. Yet, even in the face of danger, the desire for freedom burns bright. Under the harsh glare of daylight, a solitary drone navigates its way toward a window in the prison's formidable walls. Its mission? To deliver a small beacon of hope, a meager offering of sustenance or solace, to a hunger-ridden soul confined within. With a mixture of relief and anticipation, the prisoner eagerly accepts the precious cargo, a fleeting reprieve from the gnawing hunger that plagues their existence. As the drone retreats to its base, the momentary exchange serves as a stark reminder of the stark reality of life behind bars, where even the most necessities are a rare and precious commodity.
Foi acionado também, seria da pena na ala dos presos em regime semiaberto. Essa é a primeira informação do local da pena.
In this footage, prisoners of the Penitentiary Progress Wing of CDP Belém are huddled up together and made to sit on the floor with their hands at the back of their heads as they are led out of their cells. But suddenly, something unexpected happened.
Ô, Débora, você me responda as coisas de uma maneira normal, hein? Veja as imagens aí, as imagens do helicóptero, águia, helicóptero.
About 7 armed police officers surround them, and there is also a helicopter in sight, so none of these prisoners can ever think of making a funny move. They risk being beaten up severely and possibly punished.
Inilah CCTV yang merekam detik-detik sebanyak 26 narapidana lembaga permasyarakatan kelas.
In Papua, an eruption of chaos ensues as a group of 26 inmates boldly break free from their captivity, their collective determination palpable as they pace the confines of the prison yard with a restless energy. With faces contorted by a blend of desperation and defiance, they grasp onto the fleeting moments of freedom, acutely aware of the preciousness of each passing second in their relentless pursuit of liberation.
Wamena yang berusaha melarikan diri dengan menjebol pagar keamanan lapas menggunakan alat tajam pada Selasa sore kemarin.
As authorities scramble to track down the fugitives, a tense and intricate game of cat and mouse unfolds, with the government mobilizing every available resource to reclaim control. Helicopters thunder through the air, their rotors casting long shadows over the dense jungle below. While on the ground, armed forces meticulously comb through the tangled undergrowth, their vigilant eyes peeled for any hint of movement amidst the wilderness. The stakes soar to unprecedented heights, the palpable tension thickening with each passing moment, as the fate of the escapees hangs precariously in the balance, and the authorities relentlessly inch closer to cinching the net around them. In a stroke of opportunism, a defendant capitalizes on a moment of inattention from the prosecutor's officers to execute a daring escape. With calculated precision, he observes as the officers casually exit their vehicle, recognizing the perfect opportunity presented before him. Without hesitation, he seizes the moment, determined to break free from the confines of custody and evade the grasp of justice. In a surge of adrenaline-fueled audacity, the defendant makes a lightning-fast break from custody, catching the officers off guard and throwing them into disarray as they hastily scramble to give chase. In a proactive move to curb the use of contraband items within the prison system, Deputy Minister Thabang Makwetla, accompanied by Gauteng's emergency support team, conducted a surprise raid on the Johannesburg Correctional Center.
Especially objects and instruments that can be used by inmates to hurt each other. I am happy with the,
Deputy Minister Thabang Makwetla took a hands-on approach to address the issue of contraband within correctional facilities. The surprise raid aimed to ensure the safety and security of both inmates and staff. Contraband items in prisons pose a serious threat to the well-being of inmates and can be used as tools for harm.
It's not only here in Gauteng, in all the 6 regions of the country. The head of security has just arrived from the Eastern Cape. The same thing is happening.
Teaming up with Gauteng's emergency support crew, the raid was a joint effort highlighting the need for coordinated responses to security issues. Together, they combed through the Johannesburg Correctional Center, meticulously inspecting various areas for contraband, such as weapons or drugs. The operation aimed to guarantee the safety and security of everyone within the facility. Chaos unfolded at Cook County Jail as 2 inmates seized control of a housing area for several hours. The incident left another inmate injured and raised serious concerns about security within the facility.
This is in reaction to what's going on.
The Cook County Sheriff's Office released video clips recorded during the incident. One clip shows Stevenson holding a long object to another man's head, while officers in riot gear storm into the cell block, ultimately taking control and apprehending those involved.
Okay.
The inmates took control of the cell block, creating hazardous conditions by spreading soapy water on the floor and blocking and removing security cameras. As the investigation unfolds, additional criminal charges are expected against both inmates. The security breach raises questions about the safety measures in place within Cook County Jail. What looks like a feud between prisoners would reveal an unimaginable twist at the end, definitely leaving the new inmate to sleep with one eye open. Two men are seen yelling at each other, showing aggressive and defensive body language, after an older inmate started threatening a man who had just come in. The newcomer is seen begging the man to stop with his behavior and leave him alone, being forced to go into the corner. The ending reveals what no one would expect. This was all a prank. However, many believe that this was a scheme to establish a power dynamic at the very beginning. This chaos erupted at the Orange County Jail when Eric Stanley, a recently arrested individual, managed to sneak a gun into the facility. After his arrest, he took 4 hostages, leading to a tense hostage situation. We've got exclusive body-worn camera footage that gives us a chilling look at the hostage crisis. Watch closely as Stanley points the firearm at one of the hostages, adding a layer of intensity to the situation. In a remarkable display of teamwork, Law enforcement agencies, including the Orange County Sheriff's Office and the Orlando Police Department, joined forces to resolve the crisis. The SWAT team responded swiftly, and the video captured the tense moments as officers rushed in to assist. Following gunshots and the intervention of law enforcement, the video cuts to Stanley back in custody. Prisoner uprisings pose significant dangers, typically resulting in violence, injuries, and damage to property within correctional facilities.
O bagulho tá doido no Copecão, viu? Olha, o bagulho no Copecão é assim, olha. Olha como é que nós faz, olha.
As the prisoner continues recording, he and his friend in the video eventually meet up with the other inmates, showcasing this terrifying rebellion.
Ai, no Copecão, como é que nós tira as portas?
Police can face challenges in stopping prisoner uprisings due to the need to manage large crowds, contain violence, and protect both inmates and staff.
Tá ligado, né? E o bagulho é daquele jeito, viu? Ai, como é que tá o bagulho?
Prisoners may sneak phones inside by hiding them on their person or in items brought into the facility, exploiting gaps in security checks. It is unknown if the prisoners in the video really followed through with their plan. Have you ever heard of a prison with its own zoo, pool, and even a nightclub? Well, in Venezuela, it was apparently a thing. But hold on to your hats, because the government just dropped the mic on this gang-run paradise. The Tocaron prison in Venezuela, which was practically the gang's version of a luxury resort, is now under new management. A whopping 11,000 security force members were part of this massive operation to take back control from the trendy Aragua gang. Just picture this. Investigative journalists spilled the beans about this gang's crib. After the government decided it was time to change the locks, Interior Minister Remigio Ceballos spilled the beans to state broadcaster VTV. Apparently the inmates are getting a change of scenery headed to another facility. Well, who knew a prison could be the ultimate party spot, right? This next footage is straight from St. Louis, where inmates have taken to rioting, demanding justice and protesting against what they claim are inhumane conditions at the City Justice Center.
It was a plea for help as inmates rioted at a jail in downtown St. Louis. Authorities say they set fires, broke windows, and...
In a desperate plea for help, inmates at a St. Louis jail ignited a riot, setting fires, breaking windows, and tossing objects to the ground. The unrest is a vivid demonstration of their dissatisfaction with the conditions within the facility. Supporters gathered outside the jail as inmates held up signs through broken windows, shedding light on their grievances and demanding justice.
Supporters gathered outside the building as the inmates held up signs through the broken windows demanding justice. It's the second time in recent months.
This marks the second time in recent months that inmates have risen against what they perceive as inhumane treatment at the City Justice Center. This isn't the first time inmates have protested conditions at the City Justice Center. Previous demonstrations highlighted concerns about overcrowding, inadequate facilities, and what they describe as a lack of necessities. Last month in New Mexico, 3 inmates nonchalantly escaped from the Curry County Detention Center, triggering a 5-day manhunt before their eventual capture. Surveillance footage from inside the jail on June 15th reveals the escape orchestrated by 31-year-old Erin Clark, 24-year-old Ricky Sina, and 28-year-old Victor Abdaka. In the video, the trio is seen walking down a hallway within the jail before one of the men takes out a set of keys and unlocks a secure door, facilitating their escape. Outside, a camera captures the men, dressed in all white, casually strolling away. Inside the jail's control room, another camera spots jail guard Arena Dotson, who appears fidgety and nervous. Investigations later revealed that Dotson assisted the inmates in breaking free. The authorities received a tip almost 5 days later, leading them to an apartment close to the jail where the escaped inmates were hiding. At Nelson Hungary Penitentiary, a bold inmate plots a rooftop escape clad in unmistakable prison garb. His heart races as he inches toward freedom, but his plan is foiled mid-air by vigilant guards. Undeterred, he plummets with a makeshift rope, landing in a comedic surrender. His antics draw a chuckle as he playfully removes his trousers, then his shirt, in a quirky display of defiance, before reluctantly yielding to the authorities. In this high-stakes game of cat and mouse, the spectacle of his antics adds a surreal twist to the age-old tale of prison break. The camera shows what appears to be a regular working day at the police station, until something out of the ordinary happens, which shocks the police officers at the station. In a daring bid to escape from prison, a prisoner climbs through the weakened ceiling of the station, hoping to make a stealthy getaway. However, the ceiling proves no match for the weight of the prisoner, and it gives way, sending the inmate crashing down directly into the midst of the police officers, abruptly halting any chance of escape. Police officers immediately surround him with guns pointed at him, and he is eventually caught and returned to his cell. In Tomsk, a surveillance system captured the dramatic escape of a drug dealer from a police convoy. The Siva City court had sentenced 28-year-old Denis Talayev to a decade in a high-security prison, but the verdict went unheard as the accused, anticipating an unfavorable outcome, escaped by using white powder against the officers. The footage reveals an armored vehicle entering the courtyard, with police officers disembarking and opening the gate to the court building. As Denis Talayev descended to the ground, he swiftly threw white powder at the convoy officers and vanished. In their attempt to apprehend the fleeing prisoner, the police were compelled to use their service weapons, though none of the shots hit the escapee. Amidst the chaos of the Compage massacre, prisoners seize a fleeting chance at freedom amidst the unrest gripping the state. With a makeshift ladder and rope, they scramble up prison walls, fueled by desperation and the promise of escape. The origin of their tools remains shrouded in mystery, adding an air of intrigue to their daring bid for liberty. As the seconds tick by, a frenzy ensues as inmates grasp for the lifeline of the rope, jostling and pushing in a frantic bid to flee the carnage unfolding within the prison walls. Tragically, amidst the chaos, many meet their demise, their dreams of freedom crushed by the brutal reality of the ongoing massacre. On the night to be remembered of August 27, 1995, a daring escape unfolded at Vridsløselil prison in Copenhagen, Denmark, leaving authorities astonished. The audacious plot involved the strategic use of a wheel loader, transforming an ordinary construction vehicle into a tool of liberation. An individual maneuvered a wheel loader, ramming it into the formidable prison wall. The impact created a breach, shattering the barrier that had confined them. As the dust settled, a sense of disbelief permeated the prison grounds. Multiple inmates, taking advantage of the newly forged path to freedom, seized the opportunity and made a spectacular escape. The audacity of the construction vehicle-driven breach became a symbol of ingenuity. marking this escape as a legendary chapter in the annals of prison breakouts. In a bizarre twist of fate in Harbin City, a drunken driver finds himself in a ludicrous predicament, his head wedged between the unforgiving bars of a prison cell. What began as a routine detainment takes an absurd turn as he becomes the unwitting star of his comedic misfortune. Amidst the chaos, officers find themselves entangled in a desperate struggle with the stubborn bars, their efforts hampered by the relentless protests and fervent pleas for leniency from the trapped individual. Despite their best attempts to pry open the unforgiving metal, the iron grip of the bars refuses to relent, leaving the hapless driver trapped in a comical yet poignant display of human folly and the unyielding power of circumstance. Meet Mike Ramel Alfani, a correctional officer who frequents a cell in the medium security section of Greenflake Prison. Little did he know that his actions, including drinking with inmates and consuming stolen prison food, were being captured on a hidden spy camera. Three months ago, 4 long-term prisoners took matters into their own hands. Gayton McKenzie, Musa Mia, Samuel Grabola, and Petrus Sekitawani set up a hidden camera in their cell to expose the rampant corruption within the prison walls.
And have special privileges. They can have a television set and a video recorder in their cell over weekends. The camera was...
The results were nothing short of astonishing. The footage reveals a disturbing reality. Illegal substances, liquor, and even firearms are freely available. Some officers are part of a drug syndicate. Even convicted murderers can purchase loaded guns for escape. In a shocking turn of events, the prisoners negotiate with a warder to buy a loaded gun for escape. The deal unfolds on camera, revealing the extent of corruption within the prison walls. In the gritty confines of a prison, the atmosphere crackles with tension as officers respond to a disturbance. With adrenaline pumping, they converge on a cell block, anticipating trouble brewing behind bars. Their investigation leads to a bizarre sight. A prisoner wedged in a toilet bowl, his escape plan gone awry in a swirl of sewage. Despite his frantic efforts, he's trapped in a humiliating predicament. The officers work tirelessly to free him, their faces a mix of revulsion and determination. Finally liberated, the prisoner is far from victorious. Covered in filth and defeat, he's swiftly apprehended by the same officers who moments ago pulled him from the depths of the toilet. It's a tale of desperation and folly, where the pursuit of freedom meets an inglorious end behind bars.
Pemantau ini terlihat seorang narapidana tengah berusaha kabur dari rutan kelas 1 Solo, Jawa Tengah. Dia bersembunyi di atap ruang dapur untuk kemudian melompat keluar.
In a bold and audacious attempt to secure freedom, a prisoner incarcerated at Class 1 prison in Solo embarks on a dangerous gamble, delicately traversing the first-floor railings with unwavering resolve and nerves of steel. Amidst heart-pounding suspense, he teeters on the precipice, defying gravity itself as he dares to challenge the constraints of his confinement in pursuit of escape.
Persuasif dengan bujuknya agar turun. Dan akhirnya, tanpa perlawanan, yang bersangkutan bersedia turun dan segera diamankan.
His audacious attempt, though filled with daring determination, proves to be short-lived as the police swiftly move in to apprehend him, ensuring his capture and obscuring his identity for the inevitable media display. This sudden turn of events marks the abrupt and decisive end of his daring escapade, extinguishing the flicker of hope for freedom that briefly illuminated his path.
Devant le portique de sécurité, il sort une arme de son sac et braque une surveillante.
In April 2013, Redwayne Fade, a figure infamous for his criminal exploits, orchestrates one of the most audacious prison escapes ever witnessed, reminiscent of scenes straight out of Hollywood blockbusters. In a breathtaking display of bravado, Fade emerges from his cell and astounds onlookers with his next move. Brandishing a firearm, he brazenly holds up the supervisor stationed at the entry gate, leaving all witnesses stunned by the sheer audacity of his actions. The source of the gun remains shrouded in mystery, adding a layer of intrigue to this daring feat.
et quitte la pièce avec les otages pour se protéger de l'explosion.
Following a dramatic entrance by crashing through the ceiling, the prisoner catches the police officers off guard, swiftly assuming control and holding 3 of them hostage within a confined space. Demonstrating unwavering resolve and meticulous planning, he meticulously engineers an escape plan that will undoubtedly be etched into the annals of history as one of the boldest prison breaks ever witnessed. Utilizing the explosives concealed in his bag, he strategically places them within the room, housing the hostages before igniting the fuse. With nerves of steel, he leads the hostages out of harm's way, ensuring his own safety as the detonation clears a path for his daring bid for freedom.
Pengadilan dengan menggunakan mobil tahanan Kejaksaan Negeri Kota Gorontalo.
Even before being apprehended and led into custody, a narcotics suspect in Indonesia clandestinely formulates meticulous plans for escape, strategically relying on potential oversights by the vigilant police officers tasked with his capture and confinement. Seizing upon a fleeting instance of lax security, the unrestrained suspect capitalizes on the opportunity to make a daring sprint for freedom, leaving the officers trailing behind in stunned disbelief. Their inadvertent negligence inadvertently facilitates his escape, allowing him to slip through their grasp with remarkable ease. Pollsmoor Prison, notorious for its overcrowded conditions, paints a bleak picture of life behind bars. With most cells over 300% capacity, the statistics may be hard to grasp, but the shocking reality is not.
Hard to grasp, the horrific reality is not. This single cell, crammed with 86 detainees, it was
In these cramped quarters, detainees share one shower and often just a bucket for a toilet. With no mattresses and an overwhelming stench from the sheer number of bodies, the conditions are suffocating. The filth is extreme, leading to endemic skin diseases, and contracting tuberculosis is almost a certainty.
no mattress, no nothing. The smell, this many bodies in such a small space, is suffocating. The filth is so extreme.
We get the scoop from detainees, many still awaiting their day in court. Every day, a sea of inmates faces the uncertainty of their fate. Some walk free, some get convicted, but the bulk goes back to Pollsmoor. Week by week, hundreds more join, keeping the overcrowding and tough conditions cycle going strong. It's a tough reality behind bars. Well, you won't believe what went down at the Indiana County Jail. It seems like someone thought turning up the heat was the best way to make an exit.
The search is on for the man who set a fire inside the lobby of the Lake County, Indiana jail. Take a look here. Sheriff releasing surveillance video showing the man dumping some sort of fuel.
Our mystery man strolls into the Indiana County Jail lobby like he owns the place. Surveillance caught him red-handed, literally, as he started dumping fuel all around. Talk about making an entrance.
Quickly, of course, ignites the fuel there. And then, look at that, he runs out of the lobby, leaving in a blue SUV. The sheriff says no one was hurt, and there was actually no...
Now here's where it gets wild. He pulls out a piece of paper, gives it the fire starter treatment, drops it like it's hot, and bam, instant chaos. Our fire enthusiast, not waiting for the popcorn to pop, decides it's time to make a run for it. Off he goes, leaving the burning lobby behind. And how does he escape? In style, of course. A blue SUV becomes his getaway chariot. With meticulous precision and finesse, a resourceful prisoner employs a classic yet ingeniously devised method to deftly pick the lock of his cell door. In a mere matter of seconds, he successfully frees himself from the confines of his cell, setting into motion a daring nighttime escape that showcases his remarkable ingenuity and determination to break free from the constraints of captivity. Awakening his comrade with a silent urgency, they execute their meticulously crafted plan with stealth and precision, swiftly retrieving essential items before fading into the cloak of night, leaving behind a bewildered security team to painstakingly reconstruct the sequence of events leading to their daring escape. This seamless execution underscores their unwavering determination and strategic insight as they navigate the shadows with calculated resolve to evade capture and secure their elusive freedom.
170 e no FM 90.1.
In the dim shadows of the prison, a would-be escapee cautiously surveys his surroundings, gauging the moment for his daring bid for freedom. With a surge of adrenaline, he makes his move, sprinting towards the looming fence with desperate determination. Each step brings him closer to his goal, but as he reaches for freedom, he encounters the harsh reality of steel bars and relentless confinement. A drone infiltrates the HMP facility, delivering a tantalizing glimpse of the outside world to an eager inmate. With seamless precision, the prisoner snatches the package and vanishes from view, leaving behind only the distant hum of the departing drone. In a bizarre twist of fate, a prisoner in K2 finds himself in a hilariously absurd predicament. Trapped in the confines of the prison roof, his plight elicits both sympathy and bemusement. How he managed to land himself in such a comical puzzle remains a mystery, leaving observers both puzzled and amused by the sheer absurdity of the situation.
Why don't you tell me what you want?
Hey, what you told him to get in the can?
I terrorize you, boy.
Here is an incident that unfolded at Cook County Jail's Super Maximum Security Division. 4 correctional officers found themselves in a dangerous situation one Saturday evening, and we have all the details for you. The incident occurred in a tier designated for problematic detainees who engage in misconduct. These detainees are issued specially designed jumpsuits, and what happens next is both shocking and concerning. The detainees attempted to destroy their jumpsuits by using a microwave to ignite a wick, aiming to light the uniforms on fire. This reckless act resulted in a small fire and smoke within the living unit. Two officers were transported to an area hospital for evaluation due to smoke exposure, while the other 2 were taken to the hospital for injuries sustained in securing the tier. Our next video begins in Ayutthaya, Thailand, where 23-year-old Anand Kumalwanit found himself in a bit of a tight spot. He had been arrested and held in custody, but little did the police know, Anand had a trick up his sleeve. Anand, the prison drama king, decides it's showtime. With the cunning of a genius, he screams for help, claiming there's a deadly cobra in his cell. Officer Commander Ratchada Supawong falls for it not once, but 3 times, armed with a stick to confront the mystery serpent. Plot twist alert. It turns out there was no snake. Anand masterfully fooled Officer Supawong, and during one of the visits he made a run for it, escaping right under the officer's nose. Chaos ensued as Supawong discovered the trickery. We're diving into a shocking and viral video that has brought Jodhpur jail under scrutiny. Inmates are seen consuming substances, shedding light on the possible presence of contraband within the prison walls. Here is a surfaced video from Jodhpur jail that has set social media abuzz, showing inmates allegedly engaged in an illegal substance party. In this footage, prisoners are not only seen using mobile phones, but also making serious allegations against the jail authorities. In the unfolding video, one of the inmates alleges that the jail authorities, disguising it as VIP treatment, extort money from the prisoners. Another troubling aspect is the inmates' use of mobile phones. This revelation raises significant concerns about corruption and malpractices within the prison system. Let's watch this incident that raised eyebrows as an inmate reportedly engaged in robbing others for cash apps within the confines of the prison. While discussions often revolve around inmates protecting themselves, the video footage reveals a more ominous side. A shank is seen just inches away from one inmate's head. It looks like a long metal piece in hand. These alarming visuals underscore the potential threats lurking within the prison environment. And here's the kicker: should inmates even have phones in prison? It's like handing out trouble on a silver platter. This wild ride is making us question the need for stricter rules and better enforcement. Are contraband and phones causing chaos? It's time to tighten ship and keep things in check. We got some intense footage for you. An inmate captured riot at the Lansing Correctional Facility in Kansas. Buckle up as we dive into the chaos that unfolded. It all started in an afternoon when about 20 inmates at Lansing Correctional Facility went on a rampage in medium security cell house C. They broke windows, set small fires, and created mayhem that lasted for hours. In this exclusive inmate video, you can witness the unrest as the inmates took control of the situation. It's a surreal look inside a prison riot, and the tension is palpable. It is reported that the chaos finally subsided by night when staff equipped with tear gas managed to regain control of the facility. Inmates were moved to another building, securing everyone. This happened during the pandemic. Now here's the kicker. The Lansing prison has been grappling with a COVID-19 outbreak. With 14 staff and 12 inmates testing positive, the question arises, did the virus outbreak contribute to the disturbance? We have obtained video footage from inside the Cuyahoga County Jail, revealing the shocking moment a nurse, Annika Roberts, allegedly smuggled drugs into the facility. The move was subtle, but caught the attention of trained eyes during a routine shakedown.
Here's that video obtained by Fox 5 News of what caused the arrest of a jail nurse in a shakedown at the Coweta County Jail at the end of May. The nurse, Shanique...
Investigators were tipped off when an inmate allegedly retrieved something from the nurse's pocket and discreetly stashed it in his jumpsuit. The subsequent cell search uncovered the drugs Roberts had allegedly smuggled into the jail, leading to serious consequences.
Trouble. The inmate allegedly reaches into Robert's pocket and retrieves something and then drops it down into the front of his jail jumpsuit. Deputies say they searched.
Authorities express zero tolerance for such illegal activities, emphasizing that anything crossing the guard line is treated as a felony. The sheriff's office, committed to maintaining a drug-free environment, vows to take stringent action against offenders. What are your thoughts on this daring attempt? We've got a juicy one for you in this next video. A prison guard was caught red-handed with contraband strapped to his body.
Hermana, you are lucky, sir. You are lucky. I'm not your son. You are lucky. I'm not your son.
In the heart of Kimberley, at the Swallowpool Correctional Center, our star of the day decided to turn his uniform into a makeshift storage unit. Contraband. Meet the undercover guard with a not-so-secret stash strapped to his waist. Cue the tip-off heroes. Fellow officials got wind of this illicit operation and sprang into action.
Are you my father? I'm telling you. Are you my father? I can be your father. You are nonsense, man. I'm telling you. Not be my father.
It's like a real-life game of cops and robbers, but with a twist. This time it's a guard who's apparently playing both roles. The big reveal. Our not-so-inconspicuous guard is cornered and the contraband is out in the open. It's not your average day at the office, that's for sure. And how on earth did he think he'd get away with it? Maybe he's been watching too many Prison Break movies. In a deeply emotional and heart-wrenching moment, a Chinese prisoner facing execution bids a tearful farewell to his toddler daughter, unaware of the profound impact this separation will have on their lives. In a prison in Dashcam, northeast China, a condemned man faced the most challenging goodbye of his life. The toddler, blissfully unaware of the impending tragedy, bid farewell to her father, not realizing the permanent void his absence would leave in her life. In an act of emotional respect, the condemned man knelt and kowtowed thrice to his elderly mother, showing his deep reverence. The devastated mother, fully aware of the impending loss, hugged her son tightly, shedding tears that conveyed a mix of love and sorrow. Following the heartbreaking farewell, the man was escorted by prison authorities to face his execution. Disturbing footage captured inside Lewis Prison reveals a dire situation as inmates set fires and engage in violence. The incidents, described as deeply troubling and unacceptable, have sparked investigations.
outside of an inmate's cell in the maximum security unit of the Lewis State Prison. An inmate can be seen adding fuel to the fire as an officer watches on. Over the next half hour...
Check out this wild video from inside Lewis Prison. Inmates go crazy, setting fires everywhere. It's chaos on multiple levels, making you worry about everyone's safety. Officers step in urgently as smoke fills the place, and things get serious. Watch how the situation escalates in this maximum security part of Lewis Prison.
They would manipulate the trap door and, throw their trash. And of course, they throw it outside of the cell.
According to the officers, sometimes inmates can use things like electric...
Inmates are seen manipulating trapdoors, throwing trash outside, and in some cases, using electrical outlets to set fires. Simultaneously, blocks of inmates engage in violent assaults against officers. The unrest reaches alarming levels as the incidents unfold. The U.S. Attorney's Office dropped the bomb, charging 83 people involved in this gang. Apparently, they were pulling the strings on drug trafficking and violent assaults from inside the cozy confines of LA County jails.
I want to focus on what I will call the jails indictment, which outlines a criminal enterprise run by the Mexican mafia that controlled drug trafficking and extortion activities.
According to U.S. Attorney, this bust is a major hit to the Mexican mafia. They messed up their communication game and took down the leaders controlling the jails. Now here's where it gets wild. The investigation, codenamed Operation Dirty Thirds. It exposed their system. Drugs smuggled into jail had to be sold first, and the cash went straight to the mafia leader.
Gang leaders on the streets. But wives and girlfriends were not the only link to the outside world. This morning we also arrested a lawyer who is accused of being a key facilitator.
The Mexican mafia has been running a whole illegal government since the 50s. They had this sneaky system to communicate, control territories, and collect taxes on drug sales through extortion. It's like they had their shady empire behind bars. Now they're shuffling the suspects around to disrupt the gang's hold. Ecuador has witnessed a series of prison riots, resulting in a tragic loss of life. In this video, we bring you exclusive footage captured by police body cams, providing a glimpse into the dramatic scenes inside the Turi Penitentiary in Cuenca. This video showcases the intense response of Ecuadorian police as they entered the Turi Penitentiary in Cuenca. Heavily armed officers, equipped with riot shields and tear gas, attempted to restore order amid the chaos. The body cam footage reveals the use of riot control tactics by law enforcement to push back prisoners into their cells. The officers faced a challenging situation as violent clashes erupted within the prison walls. Reports suggest that the riots were triggered by conflicts between rival gangs, possibly fueled by an escape attempt. Despite the challenging circumstances, authorities managed to regain control of the facilities. Human Rights Watch just spilled the beans on the hot mess that is Pernambuco State's prisons in Brazil. And it's so wild in there that they're literally handing out keys to inmates. Picture this. Cells crammed like your aunt's garage sale. It's a real-life Tetris situation, but instead of scoring points, these inmates are just trying not to lose their minds. And get this, some lucky prisoners got their own set of keys. Like, who thought that was a good idea? Human Rights Watch is dropping truth bombs and saying, enough is enough. They're practically screaming for urgent action, demanding conditions that don't make you question if you've accidentally stepped into a dystopian movie. It's not just about squeezing in too many folks, it's about the extra nasty stuff that comes with it. Up next on our list, we have a rare glimpse inside the notorious Cell Block 4. A guy being confronted takes a different path, leaving many puzzled by his choice. In the gritty reality of prison life, this guy decides not to fight fire with fire. Instead, he chooses silence, an unexpected strategy in a place where strength is often measured in physical confrontations. As the bullying begins, the guy adopts an unconventional approach, allowing the bully to have his moment without retaliation. It's a risky move that challenges the norms of survival in the harsh environment of Cell Block 4. There's no room to move. 16 prisoners crammed into cells designed for just 4. These pictures, obtained from high-security prisons in Egypt, reveal a dire situation that goes against even the country's laws.
None of the cells have any beds. Some inmates say they are denied access to water for up to 12 hours a day. They're locked up in these.
It's like a nightmare in there. There are no beds and no water for up to 12 hours, and the cells are a mess. Inmates only get 1 hour a day for exercise. We got a tour inside a solitary confinement cell. Imagine 3 people crammed into a space of 2 by 1.5 meters, using a blanket for some privacy.
In this video, an inmate takes us on a tour inside an underground cell meant for solitary confinement. It's 2 meters by 1.5.
It's grim. Testimonies sneaked out, unveiled torture, random arrests, and coerced confessions. Amnesty International backs this up, finding thousands held with zero due process rights. No judge, no lawyer. Instead, they're stuck in awful conditions, facing an endless cycle of detention orders, trapped without a fair shot at trial. Here is a raid that happened at Westville Prison in Durban. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola, along with the emergency support teams, decided to play detective and see what the inmates were up to. Officials found the hidden goods in an unexpected place, the light fixtures of the cells. Inmates had ingeniously turned these fixtures into high-tech hiding spots for cell phones and electronic devices.
The raids are conducted very oftenly, as you will have seen that this has been a difficult area of mine.
Now you can imagine the look on Minister Lamola's face when he stumbled upon this ingenious hiding spot. The whole squad was astonished by the creativity of these inmates. It's like a real-life game of hide and seek, but with contraband. Who would have thought the humble light fixture could be a treasure trove of forbidden gadgets? We got wild footage from behind bars. This inmate pulls out a machete that looks like it came straight out of Fallout 4. I'm talking about a modified post-apocalyptic weapon, crafted like a blacksmith's masterpiece.
What's up, bro? Look fresh from Rizzo, though? Yeah, you missing one thing, though. Where the machete at?
Hey, what you told him to get him in the hand?
Oh,
I don't even know you niggas anyway.
God.
This guy has skills, but here's the kicker. He's got everything except freedom. Can you believe it? Just imagine being in court, and the evidence they bring up is this Fallout-inspired machete. It's like someone tried to bring a piece of the Wasteland drama right into the legal arena.
Missing one thing, though. Where the machete at?
Hey, what you told him to get him in the hand?
Oh,
I don't even know you niggas anyway.
God.
This incident perfectly highlights the lack of intelligence among these criminals. Recording yourself brandishing a weapon on video, with another accomplice illegally capturing the act, it's a surefire way to land yourself a one-way ticket to an extended lockdown. Becoming an adult is a significant milestone, marking the transition from adolescence to a newfound sense of independence and responsibility. For some, this momentous occasion is celebrated with joy. However, for others, the journey into adulthood takes an unexpected turn, one that involves legal consequences and a stark confrontation with the justice system. That is exactly what happened to this young, now-to-be, adult. He is seen holding a cake while the guards around him are singing the happy birthday song. However, this does not look like a fun party, which we can obviously observe by looking how uncomfortable the birthday boy is. The FS-In crew decides to play fashion police with his Kharkov. They snatch his stuff and tell him to throw on the threads of another inmate with a lowered social status. Yeah, you heard it right. They're basically asking him to dress up like a second-class citizen.
Осужденный из Харькова. Одевайте вещи.
Props to Iskakov, though. He's having none of it and flat-out refuses to wear someone else's outfit. And guess what happens next? Well, surprise, surprise. They resort to physical violence and even bring in heavy artillery, aka special means.
Силы, спецсредства. Вещи оденьте. Вещи оденьте свои. Вы сейчас следуйте на это. Применяем.
Now this isn't some messed up reality show. It's a blatant violation of human rights. The Gulagu.net project is calling out the Russian authorities to step in, investigate this madness, and slam the brakes on these FS-In employees who think it's cool to play dress-up and resort to violence. The astonishing scene unfolds within the confines of a southern Brazilian prison, where more than a dozen inmates allegedly engage in a brazen display of drug use. In a shocking video, Prisoners are seen queuing up in an orderly fashion, forming lines to partake in snorting cocaine from a table arranged with 120 lines of the illicit substance. A small group of inmates appears to control the proceedings, ensuring a semblance of order as the queued individuals take their turns. The footage captures the audacity of the situation, with some prisoners openly consuming drugs in a packed corridor. The identities of those involved, the circumstances surrounding the video, and the logistics of drug entry into the prison remain unclear, prompting a comprehensive and immediate investigation. The incident underscores the challenges faced by authorities in maintaining control and security within the prison system. A horrifying reality of prisons is the abundant use of narcotics, but we never even think about how bad it can get. A video was taken by a prisoner inside, showing exactly that.
Do it, man. I wasn't gonna do it. I don't know what he got going on.
Drug use in prison is a pervasive and complex issue that poses significant challenges for correctional facilities worldwide. Despite stringent security measures, inmates often find ways to obtain and use drugs within the confines of prison walls. In the video, we can clearly see the negative effects. People lying unconscious, heart rate and respiration slowed down.
Nice land part 4, man. Look at this. He got one wigging out right there.
Turning around the camera, we see even more people affected by the plague called drug use. One way of stopping it from spreading is offering inmates access to substance abuse treatment programs, and mental health services can contribute to reducing the prevalence of drug use within